This one's a complicated one because as someone who spent most of their adolescence and a significant part of their adulthood, watching movies, watching shows, occasionally cracking a book, there's nothing I can see or read as frightening as putting a child or group of children in significant danger, in frightening danger. I mean, without fail, it makes me feel uncomfortable. And even if the little kid is a little asshole, I just wish I could materialize myself inside of this story and defend them in some kind of way. Now, take all that I just said and multiply it literally by 100. And that's what I felt the second that I saw dainty little Will Byers racing home to an empty house with a monster coming after him. Now, this scene is what began the war between Hawkins and the Upside Down, and that drew us into the world of Stranger Things. It's a very complicated journey with Will Byers, so let's go ahead and start talking about it right now.
It was a 7. The Demogorgon. It got me.
Will is the youngest of the Byers clan, older brother Jonathan, mother Joyce, and estranged father Lonnie. You know, this kid was born on March 22nd, 1971, and it's weird, yes, another March birthday, but he's one of the most mild-mannered of this friend group that we meet right away in the basement of the Wheeler house playing Dungeons and Dragons. I mean, the kid has nerves of steel, though, because later that night, once everybody else is dispersed and he's all alone, he sees this crazy creature on the side of this just country road, runs away from it, like bails, right? Barricades himself in the shed, loads up a gun, and takes aim. Now, I'd have pissed myself at that age, and I probably would do it at this age as well. I'd have been a goner right away. Fight as he tried, Will winds up missing to his friends and family back in Hawkins, but right underneath them in this dimension that we would come to know as the Upside Down, we actually find out a lot about what happened to Will when he was in the Upside Down with the first 5 minutes of season 5 that we got, but we're not going to talk about that here because this is a discussion of what happens up until that point. To their credit, nobody gives up on Will. Not a one of them. Joyce is convinced that he's out there, that he's okay. Not even when those pricks at Hawkins' lab plant a fake body in the quarry that looks exactly like Will. Not even then. Do his friends stop looking for him? Does his mother stop looking? Joyce doubles down on her efforts. Will does the best he can to try to communicate with his mother through the lights, and Eleven helps tremendously with her abilities, which keeps the hopes high for Dustin, Mike, and Lucas back at home. So Hopper and Joyce are ultimately guided into the Upside Down by the aforementioned pricks from Hawkins' lab, and they end up finding Will. Now, he's got some gnarly umbilical cord type thing attached to his mouth. They pull that out, they bring him home, and his friends are thrilled to have him back. But he coughs up, at the very end of this season, he coughs up some slug-like thing into his bathroom sink. And that's a pretty wild cliffhanger because we didn't really know what that was going to be. And of course, we had to wait forever to find out what happened in season 2. Speaking of season 2, starts off with a far more protective mother and older brother for Will, which is totally understandable. And he and his buddies are Ghostbusters for Halloween, which makes me love them that much more. What wasn't so awesome was there was this shadow monster that Will kept seeing in these visions he would have of the Upside Down. He would draw it, and it got closer, and it got more real. In these episodes he would have, they got longer, and they got more real. And it ultimately took Will over. Now, the scene where that happens is really, really wild. And they end the episode with that scene. And, you know, my son and I were up at midnight at that point. We were going to call it a night. We didn't call it a night. We had to find out what happened. Now, the main quest involving Will meant this entity in the Upside Down was using Will as a spy in Hawkins. And we get one hell of a siege on Hawkins' lab by these demodogs, which are these new creatures that the Upside Down unleashed upon us. I mean, Dustin loved him so much he raised one up from a pup. Saved him in the end, by the way. So this is where it kind of gets complicated for me because for the first 2 seasons, these slimy monsters in this adjacent dimension, they torment this kid pretty heavily. I mean, he is so small and so weak and he's been through so much, your heart breaks for him. And as a viewing audience, you just want them to let up on this guy just a little bit. And, you know, they listen to you because for the next 2 seasons, Will does jack shit. I mean, in season 3, he does help fight a Starcourt Mall, and he's able to tell. He gets a feeling when the Mind Flayer sort of activates Billy or when he's taking possession of Billy because it's the way he felt when he was being activated in season 2. You know, in season 4, though, he tags along with 11, and he basically watches her get picked on by the bitchiest of bitches in Lenore Hills, California, all before Mike shows up, and he sort of leers uncomfortably at Mike. Now, I'm not going to pretend to understand what Will went through or what he's currently going through when we pick up on this season. I hated how he was sort of minimalized. I didn't like that. I loved meeting those kids in season 1. I love that we've got the privilege to sort of watch them grow up in this show. I'm kind of at a 7 on the meltdown meter. I need Will this season. I need him to leave it all out on the field. I need him to go to the wall. No skulking about. Your friends need you. Your town needs you. It's time to get some payback on those pricks from the Upside Down. Long overdue.
I told you they upset him.